Yes, good evening,
How
people. Hello,
you
Fahim.
doing? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well,
That's good.
fantastic. Oh, yeah. So
Good.
yes, a lot has happened since the last time we both talked.
Yeah. A lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, Chelsea lost a manager. Ronaldo's got a club.
hmm
World Cups happened too. I mean, towards the final.
Yeah. Very much the final on Sunday. A lot of things. To be honest, I've not focused on Chelsea too much during the World Cup. I mean, today we've got uh, a transfer confirmed from Fabrizio
Yeah,
Romano saying Nkunku is joining Chelsea in the summer next year, which is good news. I'm happy with
yeah,
the signing, but we still need more than Nkunku. Nkunku is a good player. Our midfield is something we need to sort out. If
yeah,
we sort out the midfield, then I'm happy. But Nkunku, I just want to see if it will he have the same problem that the other attackers will have. Like for Aubameyang, he's having the same problem. Lukaku had the same problem. The lack of service from midfield. So happy with the transfer, but let's see what happens.
yeah. I didn't hear that N'Golo Kante is leaving this Jan. Is it true, or is he not?
Who's
Is he
it?
not leaving?
Which
N'Golo
who?
Kante.
Oh,
N'Golo
Kante.
Kante.
I think he will be leaving as a free agent next summer. To be honest, I don't think he'll be staying Chelsea. Um, unfortunate. It's unfortunate. He's one of my favorite players. Definitely a Chelsea legend. But it's got to a point where he's unreliable now. He's unreliable. We can't trust him to be fit almost every single game. I mean, on his day, he's definitely one of the best midfielders, but that's on his day. Right now he's just always getting injuries. Like this season, I didn't even know N'Golo Kante existed. This season he only played a few games and that's it. And he's been injured the whole time. So it's sad. It's very sad that it has to end like this. But we just have to move on.
Yeah, and there's also another midfielder in Chelsea, Dennis Zakaria. I mean, you can
Mm.
say the same about him too. Did he even play this season? Is he even in the team?
He's only played 2 games from what I can remember against Man City and I think against a Champions League game. I think that's it. And both games he's done well. I don't think he's done bad at all. I think he's done well. I'm just surprised how not just Graham Potter but also the national team haven't used him as well. Like I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with him. It's a bit of a weird situation, to be honest. I don't know what's going to happen in January, but I think he'll be staying till end of this season because I do think the contract has like a clause where if if let's say he's played a single game for Chelsea, then he won't be able to go back. Like Chelsea cannot have the right to terminate the loan contract. So if he's played one game for Chelsea, that means he will be staying throughout the whole season.
Right. And coming this at the end of the season, you do have the return of Lukaku to Chelsea. What is his future here?
No future at Chelsea. No future at Chelsea.
It's-
But
But you still
I
need
hope
to
he goes.
dispose him of. You still have to dispose him.
Yeah. That's the big problem. I don't think Inter Milan want him. Chelsea don't want him. I don't know what
Yeah.
other club would want him, to be honest. He's earning too much money and
Yes.
he's not young anymore. He's like 30 years old. Like
30.
he so it's a huge loss. We've made a huge loss on Lukaku. Massive loss. 100 million on like a crazy wage like 300k per week. It's a massive loss. But I don't even want to think about Lukaku to be honest because it's such a huge mistake from Chelsea buying Lukaku.
Yeah. And there's also a news going around that Thomas Tuchel is going to take up the managerial role of the English national team. How
Hmm.
reliable is it? How reliable is that news?
I don't think it's going to happen to be honest, because I do think the English FA they only want an English manager. That's it. They
Well,
don't.
they do have a history of appointing non-English managers
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Sven and Eriksson, and
Hmm.
then there was this Italian manager. I forgot his name. 2010 World Cup. He managed England.
Yeah, yeah,
Top
yeah,
left.
yeah.
So England do have a history of having non-English manager. It's not something for the first time. It's not like for the first time in the history that a non-English man is going to take up an English managerial job position. So this is not something new, but I think this would be good too. The current sort of current group of players that England possess, I think you need a manager who can bring them up, and I think Tuchel do have that quality to elevate this team. Personally, I feel
Hmm.
that.
And yeah, no, 100%. Tuchel will elevate the England team. Like he's a manager that does well in tournaments, no doubt. He's got the record. He's been in six finals with Chelsea. He tournament football is his best thing that he has. But I think the English FA, from what I understand, they don't really want to go down the route of the foreign manager. They've already went down that route of hiring foreign managers in the past. Now they just want to focus on an English manager that will develop these
Yeah.
younger players. So, like
But the
Gareth
question
Southgate, for
is,
example.
yeah. But the question is, do they have competent English managers?
No, no. The only
That's
competent one I can, even though it's not going well so far at Chelsea, but it's Graham Potter. Like he's got the record for Brighton. He's done well for Brighton. Graham Potter and maybe Eddie Howe. Those two I
Eddie
can
Howe.
think
Yeah.
of. Everyone else, it's just average or below average.
Yeah. And another foreign manager who's going to take up a job is there is also another news that Carlo Ancelotti is going to take up the managerial role of the Brazilian national team.
Hmm.
So is this going to be a trend where both are going to hire foreign managers? Is this going to be a new trend, or do you think we should embrace this trend? What do you feel?
You mean like national teams?
Yeah, for hiring foreign managers for international teams.
Yeah, I think yeah, I can understand why international teams want their country to like their manager coming from their country to manage the national team because it's easier for communication as well and understanding the players. I don't know. It depends. It really does depend because international football is a lot different to club football. It's not the same. You have less time working with the players, so maybe I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, I think having a manager from your country can definitely help more than a world class or experienced coach. Mainly because of they don't have much time to work with the players, so they will understand the players. That manager from that country will understand the players more and communicate with them more, and like, I think it suits them better for international football. But I'm not too sure because, like I said, it's completely different to club football.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So you are pretty sure that Chelsea are going to stick with Graham Porter for at least the next couple of seasons. Are you quite sure?
It's I think about to like do I think he's a manager? I don't know. It's a very weird situation. He's only been here for a few months. He had some good weeks at the start, some good games. We've won some good games at the start, but the last few matches have been horrific. To be honest, I think we've only won one game in the last nine or something. I don't know the stat, but it's crazy how many games we've already lost so far this season, and it's not even halfway yet to the Premier League season. But I just think with Graham Potter, if you hire a manager like Graham Potter, then you need to completely change the squad, completely change the squad. But this is also my problem I have with Todd Bowley is that he did not plan this properly at all. If you were to bring Graham Potter, if your plan was to bring Graham Potter from like when he first arrived, when Todd Bowley first arrived, then you shouldn't have bought players like Sterling. You shouldn't have bought players like Koulibaly. You shouldn't have bought players like Aubameyang. These players will not respect Graham Potter. That's a fact, to be honest. Like senior players don't want to be at a club that's in a process. They want to be at the club at their age to win trophies. That's why they came to Chelsea, because Chelsea's known for winning trophies. Thomas Tuchel was the manager at that time that brought in Sterling, Koulibaly, and Aubameyang. Hence why they joined. If it was Graham Potter, I don't think they would have joined Chelsea. If Graham Potter was at Chelsea at the start of the season controlling transfers, I don't think players like Sterling, Koulibaly, and Aubameyang would have joined Chelsea because this new process Chelsea are going through. But it just doesn't make sense. We spent 280 million on players that Graham Potter didn't really play a part. It was mostly Thomas Tuchel. But then you had this plan where you were going to sack Tuchel since pre-season because of the clash that they had after that Arsenal game that we lost 4-0. But the whole thing at the start was a mess. And right now, it looks like we're recruiting some scouts. We're recruiting some board members that look good. They look good. Sounds nice, but we have to wait and see if they actually work out in the long run. I do want to see the club being sustained, like instead of just being up and down all the time. During the Roman era, we were up and down most of the time, but I do want us to be in a high level consistently and not just go up and down each year. So we'll see. Graham Potter, he has to prove a lot now. Premier League is going to come back very very soon. Can't afford any more losses. We can't afford any more draws. We have to start winning games. So yeah, I'll judge him after the January window because I do think the January window will play a huge part in our season. If we can bring in players that we need, like midfielders, a right back, maybe a striker because of Broja being injured for throughout the whole season, unfortunately, then I'll judge. Then I'll judge. But after January, if he doesn't do well, then I don't know if he is the right man for the job, to be honest.
So yeah, going forward, what kind of players do you think that Chelsea should dispose them in the coming transfer window? And these players do not have a future with Chelsea, and it's better if they are elsewhere. And
Hmm.
also, Chelsea would have the budget and the money to go after players that can actually take them forward. Who do you think are going to be disposed of from Chelsea?
I don't want to see them being disposed. I like there's certain players I'd rather see play than, like, for example, Hakim Ziyech. I do think he should be playing for Chelsea, starting games over certain players like maybe Conor Gallagher or Mason Mount. But I think it's best for him to leave Chelsea if he's not playing games. I do think he's a good player. You've seen in the World Cup how good he is when you give him confidence. I think if he's not going to get game time or he's not going to get promised game time, I think he should leave in January for Chelsea's sake and for his sake. Um, Other players, Pulisic is another player that's rumored to leave. Who else? Um, I think that's it for now because right now I think we need to keep some of these players till the end.
Jorginho, Jorginho,
I wouldn't get his
Jorginho.
contract is running out in next summer. His contract is expiring actually, yeah, next year this summer, yeah, 2023 summer. Yeah, his contract is expiring. I wouldn't get rid of him in January. We really need midfielders anyway, so I'm not gonna. We shouldn't really get rid of the areas that we are weak already. So I would keep him for the summer, even though he might leave on free. It is what it is. But yeah, I think I wouldn't get rid of too many players in January. I'd rather bring in more players that we need in midfield. So yeah.
So yeah, you do mention that Chelsea are in the lookout for strikers, and it's not just Chelsea, even Arsenal, who are at the moment at the top of the table.
Mm-hmm.
They want a striker too, and if you look in the market, there are not enough strikers available
Mm-hmm.
apart from say Cristiano. Apart from Cristiano, it's not proper proven strikers.
Yeah.
So, do you think teams like Arsenal or Chelsea can take a risk and get Ronaldo for at least the remainder of the season? Do you see that happening?
I can see Chelsea going for him for sure. Definitely, Todd Bowley wanted him in the summer. Um, but I don't think Graham Potter would want Ronaldo, and I don't think it would work well. To be honest, Graham Potter and Cristiano Ronaldo, I don't think it would work well at all. Um, Arsenal, I don't think they'll go for someone like Ronaldo. To be honest, like I think they're going down the route of young players, developing young players. So I'm hearing that Arsenal are in for. I can't remember his. I think they're in for another striker that I heard, but I can't remember his name. Apparently we're going for the Dortmund striker, the young Dortmund striker, Yusuf Mokoko. His contract's expiring in the summer. I wouldn't
They've
mind him.
even been they've even been looking after Vlahovic, Juventus striker. Arsenal have
Mm,
been for Dusan Vlahovic. Like he was supposed to come to Arsenal the
hmm
season in the 2021-22, but back then Arsenal weren't in Europe.
Yeah,
But now that Arsenal are in a better place position, Juventus are in a complete mess. You told
yeah,
United is the worst thing. You should go look at Juventus. They are much worse than
mm,
that.
yeah.
So
Vlahovic, Vlahovic. I think he's a very good striker. I wouldn't mind him at Chelsea, but Chelsea's history with strikers, like it's not a good one. It's not a good one at all. Though we've only had very few good strikers at Chelsea. We've always signed top strikers, but some of them just don't work out at Chelsea. I don't know why. It's a number nine curse, maybe. I don't know, but I wouldn't mind him if we go for him. I actually wouldn't mind him. I think he's a very good finisher, but I don't think we should risk too much on buying a striker. I think we should go for midfielders. If we go for what's his name, Mukoko in January, okay, I'm cool. I'm happy with it. I think we also went for someone called Fofana, Ivorian striker. But apparently he will be sent out on loan when he signs for Chelsea anyway. So I don't think he'll play a part in Chelsea's first team when he signs.
and there's also this player called Ivan Tony. Do you think big clubs are gonna sign him in the coming
Ivan
transfer
Tony.
window? If not, yeah, Ivan Tony. Do you think
Uh,
clubs are gonna sign him now, or if not now, at least in the June transfer window?
um, I don't know because I heard that he's got himself into some sort of problem. I think it was the betting or gambling. I can't remember. He's got some issues with that. I don't think. Yeah, I think in terms of clubs going for him, big clubs possibly. The only club I can think maybe would go for him, someone like Man United. They need a striker. They would probably go for someone like Ivan Tony. But that's as if I think that depends on Eric Ten Hag. If he wants Ivan Tony, then you'll get him. But I don't think he'll get a top club in the Premier League, in my opinion. I think he'll just go for like those mid-table clubs, like like Danny Ings, for example, went from Southampton to Aston Villa. I think it'll be the same case with Ivan Tony, to be honest. Even though he's a good striker, but I think it will be the same case with Ivan Tony.
I think Leicester might be a good option for him too. Leicester City.
Leicester, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jamie Vardy is getting older. He's not. They need to replace him in the long run. So Ivan Tony would work
Mm-hmm.
for them. And yeah, since we are into strikers, we let's get deep into Cristiano. What happened to him? We did the interview, got his contract got terminated, got into the went to the World Cup, scored one, become the first player to score in 5 consecutive World Cups. And
Mm-hmm.
then there was this minor altercation between him and his national team manager, who's in the bench. He's not a starter at both club and country level. What has really happened to him?
I think he hasn't really moved. He hasn't really moved on the fact that he's not a top level striker anymore. He hasn't moved on the fact that yeah, he can't accept that he's not the best striker in the world. He can't accept it anymore. Like he was one of the best strikers, but he's not the best striker anymore. He's not the top 5 Ballon d'Or list anymore. It's a shame. I mean, it's also a lack of awareness from Ronaldo because you should also understand. Yeah, I'm getting older. My body's not the same. I'm not as quick as before. So I feel like there's a lack of awareness from Ronaldo, and hence why he's getting a little bit upset with a lot of things, and he just hasn't accepted reality yet. He hasn't really accepted reality, and there's been many cases where like the Portugal national team benched him, the Man United team benched him, Ayrton Hap benched him, Santos benched him. Not many clubs want him anymore compared to I don't know a few years ago. A lot of clubs wanted him. Now, no one really wants him. To be honest, it should be an indication for Ronaldo that yeah, I'm getting older. I might have to accept a lesser role. I might not be able to play a first team role. I need to accept that, and I don't think he's accepted that. So that's the issue with him. You have players like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who's already accepted that he's not the top striker he once was before. Ronaldo, I don't think he's really accepted it or fully accepted that he is not the top striker. I think he's a great impact player from the bench, but that's it. As a starter for a top club, I don't think he is a I don't think he is a starter.
Now that he's without a club, and most major clubs are not very keen in signing him, and he is not very keen to be a bench player. He wants
Hmm.
to be the starter.
Yeah.
In fact, he still wants to be the main man. It's not just
Yeah.
being a starter. He wants to be the main man. And
Hmm.
there's not much enough offers with him. And for him, he doesn't want to leave Europe either. He doesn't want to go to Qatar
Mm.
or US, China, Japan. He doesn't want to go there. I mean, he did mention this in a few interviews some years back, that he wants to end at the top level.
Yeah.
Ronaldo wants to end in Europe. Like he wants that one high. So if we assess all the options, there's not many apart from say the spoiled club Sporting.
Mm.
So
No,
so
even
that might be.
Sporting, I don't think they even want him. I don't know. The only club I've heard that wants him is the Saudi club. That's it.
Yeah.
And Chelsea may be interested, but that's it. That's it. And you know what? There's also another point where I think Tony Kroos said it one time. You don't want to leave it too late when you retire because if you leave it too late, you'll end up becoming the villain. You want to retire as a hero, not as a villain. And right now, doing that interview, it looks completely bad on his legacy, really bad on his legacy, and this is kind of sad. It is kind of sad to see that once a player that's inspired a lot of people is now turned almost against a lot of people. So yeah, I think that's why like for example, that's why self awareness is so important. If you're not self aware of your surroundings or the situations, then these things can happen in the end.
So yeah, I mean, post the interview, it was not just Cristiano who left United; it is also the Glazers family that
Mm,
announced that the club has been put on sale, and they are looking for prospective buyers. And so far, as per the news, there was some family from the Saudi royal family is out for it, and the UK's richest person, I think he's off to United too. And this sounds quite strange, but some Indian billionaires were also after Manchester United. So,
mm,
where do you see the future of Manchester United now, post Ronaldo, post Glazers?
mm. I'm not sure. I don't know much about the whole sale process. I don't think they're fully up for sale. I'm not sure. I think I think Liverpool is also up for sale. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah.
But I don't think they'll just sell very easily. I'm not sure. Glazers, they get to choose who they want to sell to. Um, yeah, I mean, if they sell the club, it could be good for the club. It could be even worse for the club. We don't know. We really don't know. I think it's very similar, not very similar, but similar to how Chelsea sold, well, Roman Abramovich sold their club. We had the Ricketts, who no one wanted. Todd Bowley's consortium. We had other consortiums. Like they will you will have offers, but It all depends on the Glazers rather than the government in our situation.
So all the United's currently valued at around $10 billion. So with that kind of range, you limit your bias. There's only
Mm,
governments and very rich billionaires. There was even rumors of Apple buying it, but Apple very quickly came forward and said that no, that they're not interested in buying any football club at the moment.
yeah.
Yeah. So even Liverpool's up for sale, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I think these are billion-dollar valued clubs.
Hmm.
It's gonna create a very massive impact, not just in the field of football. I think even in sporting history, because
Hmm.
in the past we never had a sale of this volume. Like you
Yeah.
did have teams being bought and sold, but they were tiny amounts, but
Yeah.
compared to the terms that we're talking.
Hmm.
So yeah, with the current trend going, it looks like football's gonna be owned by governments, the royal families,
Hmm.
very rich
Yeah.
billionaires. So do you
Hmm.
think this is a great sign for football? Do you think it's healthy for the football environment? I think for the players it doesn't matter much because for
Hmm.
them they get money, so for them it's not much of a thing. But in the future, with regards to the game being accessible to the fans, if the rich family, the royals, the governments, only they could own a football club now at them.
Um, if it is it good for the sport? I mean, we're seeing a lot of changes with the sport anyway. With now the I think the World Cup or something like that, introducing 32 teams or something like that. I can't remember, but they're making changes with the Champions League. You had the Super League scandal that happened what last year, a few years ago. I can't remember, but it's obvious that when these billionaires come into football, they some of them have the intention of just buying the football club just for money, or you have the Man City owners who just want to brag it out and show off to people. Depends which owner you have. A lot of these billionaires, they all have blood on their hands. They didn't become billionaires the nice way. They became billionaires the more manipulative way. So, but I think when it comes to state owns owners, they kind of just want to win. Like we've seen it with the
I mean,
PSG.
with state-owned clubs, it's not just about winning; it's also about projecting their government. It's a,
Yeah.
as they call it, sports washing.
Hmm.
So it becomes these clubs do not become football clubs anymore. They are a place to propagate the ideals of the respective governments.
Hmm. Yeah. 100. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly like that. And then with the billionaires, like the American billionaires, they just do it for money. That's obvious, but I'm not too sure. It all depends on their intentions. Every billionaire will have their own intention. You can have some of these Arab billionaires could definitely have an intention just using it, buying a football club for money or for other stuff. But for example, Todd Bowley, we're yet to see whether he's going to use Chelsea for money or is he actually going to build something that is successful for Chelsea that will end us winning trophies. But I don't know. It all depends on their intentions for sure. Every billionaire is different.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So yeah, coming from club football, we will dive into international football. Since it's international football, we're gonna talk about World Cup. What has surprised you in this Qatar World Cup?
Sorry about that. Sorry. So
Yeah.
say that again.
What has surprised you the most about Qatar football, the Qatar World Cup?
Um. Oh, hold on. I'll be back in a second. Um. What has surprised me?
Yeah.
Um. I think I have a lot of things to say about this situation. For example, the Qatar situation. I do think a lot of people have some wrong ideas with Qatar as a country and the World Cup in general. English media portraying different news when it's not true. But I think it's been great. I think it's probably one of the best World Cups. Um, a lot of fans have enjoyed the experience. Yes, it's a bit odd during this time, like the winter time, but you know what? I think a lot of people have enjoyed it though. A lot of people have enjoyed the safety, the experience. I've heard that a lot of English people over there they enjoy how the atmosphere is built there, and the fact that it's very safe compared to
Very
let's
safe.
say
True.
England. Yeah, and for example, the English media do portray some negativity towards these countries, these Arab countries, but they don't actually show the positive sides that for example, like I said, how safe it is. There's been English people that have posted media online that they've actually never felt this sort of safe before, but you don't really see the media really showing that sort of media to the BBC or the ITV. They show that the fact that alcohol is banned, or the LGBTQ thing, it's bad. But I think it's important that people know that it's not just the LGBTQ or that are in problems in this. Like expressing love in public in Qatar, it's not allowed. If you're straight, if you're
Yeah.
homosexual, or it
Even
doesn't
in
matter.
yeah, even in India, you're debarred from displaying your public affection in a public
Yeah,
sport.
yeah.
Yeah,
But they haven't really clarified it. They only mentioned the homosexual part, which is not right, not right at all. It goes through for everyone, no matter what race, gender, whatever. If you do it privately, no one that's fine. If you do it privately, that's fine. No one's going to know, but it's only about if you show it in public. If you show it in public, then that's a problem. It's definitely a problem because they respect each they respect their culture, they respect people in their country, and I feel like you should just respect the rules. You should respect the rules. I mean, you have your Western culture, we have our own culture. Like we don't go to your country and say no, you must do this and that. So how are you allowed to come to our country and say, oh, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? So at the end of the day, it's hypocrisy. I mean, I've seen this before. It's always happened in the past. So I think people just need to research properly rather than just believe in absolutely everything what the media say, because the media always have their biases. You have to research and come up with your own conclusions rather than just coming up with the biases all the time.
yeah. And the Houston Whites were awarded to Qatar in 2010. And in terms of value, this is the most a country has invested in
Hmm.
hosting a World Cup. Like if
Yeah.
you compare it to South Africa, Germany, Brazil, Russia, I mean, if you
Hmm.
combine all these four countries together, the amount they invested in when they had the hosting rights, Qatar's spending were like double or triple,
Hmm.
and Qatar is not a football country. Like they don't have a prominent structure. They're not a
Hmm.
top tier team, although they were the Asian champions, 2019 Asian champions. Qatar are the Asian champions. But if you talk about in football sense, these infrastructures post World Cup is gonna be a waste. I mean, we have seen this all the time in India. We There are stadiums when Delhi hosted the Commonwealth Games in 2010. Some of the
Hmm.
stadiums they built post that were just left and it's in ruins now.
Hmm.
2016 Rio when they made the Olympics, post that the infrastructure, sporting infrastructure has been in ruins.
Hmm.
What is I mean, Qatar's money is very big. I mean, this is like billions and billions.
Yeah.
So, should FIFA consider? I mean, do you personally feel that football hosting rights for the World Cup should only be given to countries that has a very strong hold with football, or is it fine to experiment new countries? Do you see that happen?
Yeah, I think it's fine to expect. I mean, if they have the capability in the end, then I don't think it's a problem. Qatar managed to somehow build what 10 stadiums in 10 years. So it's very very quick. If you can't handle that sort of pressure, that sort of level, then you shouldn't be hosting a World Cup. Then, like you do need stadiums for sure, and you definitely need stadiums. So countries that don't have that sort of football culture and don't have that sort of level to keep up with the building of stadiums, then they shouldn't host a country. They shouldn't host it. With Qatar, we all know that they're like literally one of the richest countries in the world. That they had the money to invest, spent like 200 billion, which is absolutely ridiculous, more than 200 billion on this World Cup. So they had the capability to build stadiums and do it on time. But if you have countries that are not as rich as Qatar, and they should not be nominated to host a World Cup for sure. They shouldn't be nominated. If country has a footballing culture, then yes, they should have the chance to host a World Cup. Yeah,
And the next World Cup, I believe, is happening in the US, Canada,
yeah,
Mexico are jointly hosting it.
yeah.
And the news is that it's going to be expanded to a 48 team tournament. World Cup is
Hmm.
going to be expanded from 32 to 48.
Hmm.
I think possibly to bring in a lot of countries. Like Asia is gonna get a lot more. They've had six with 48. I think they might have 10 more countries. They're gonna be new countries from Africa who's gonna play in. Do you think that the increase in number is healthy for football, or do you think it will dilute the quality of the World Cup? More countries coming in will dilute it, or will it, in the long run, improve the standard?
Um, 32 to 48 it's a big jump to be honest. 32 to 48. That's what 16 teams added,
Yeah,
16
16.
nation 16 nations added. That's quite a lot to be honest. I think it would dilute the competitiveness of the World Cup if you bring in countries that are not that great at the sport, for sure. I mean, we've already seen maybe a few already in this World Cup with, uh, I can't really name, but Qatar being one of them, and Costa Rica, maybe I can't remember, but there's been nations that haven't really they finished bottom of the group and deservedly finished bottom of the group. But I think they should keep it at 32. Making it to 48 just makes it more. Too many changes can definitely destroy the tournament. We don't want to destroy this World Cup. The World Cup is one of the precious trophies out there in football. Don't want to make too many changes. If you make too many changes, then it kind of ruins the tournament, kind of ruins the value of the tournament. You want to keep it competitive. You want to keep it level, equal level in all aspects, level in terms of intensity, quality, all that stuff. You want to keep it at a good level and not just make one thing higher and one thing lower. There's no point doing that. And I think the World Cup should stay as it is. 32 teams should be fine. I don't think adding more teams will make it even better. I don't think it'll make a huge difference, to be honest.
Right. I mean, the basic point to like increase is, I think, to bring in a lot of countries. Say like countries like
Yeah.
India, China, which are account to almost 20% of the population and have a sizable economy,
Mm,
are left out of the World Cup. And these are countries, despite their national teams not in the World Cup, FIFA does generate a lot through World Cups broadcasting
mm,
from these two
true.
countries. And
Yeah.
if these two countries do have their national team in the World Cup, that might boost their revenue. I mean, that might boost their revenue too.
I mean, it makes sense from FIFA standpoint for sure, and maybe from the standpoints of those countries, India, China, for sure. Um, but if I was to, it all depends. Like the quality, like I said, the quality also matters of the World Cup. We don't want to dilute the competitiveness or the quality. The India and China, I think they're specialized in, well, India, for example, is specialized in the cricket sport. China, I'm not too sure about China to be honest, um, but I think if FIFA, it makes sense for FIFA to do it for money for the fans. I get it for sure, but if it was, from my opinion, I think it should just remain the same as it is. It's always been special like this. We don't want to make too many changes, so but we'll wait and see. If it happens, then let's see how it pans out. Let's see how it pans out.
Yeah, and it is not just about the increase in teams. There's also this talks of making the World Cup a once in a 2 year event rather than the
Mm,
normal once in a 4 year event. I personally don't like World Cups being held once in 2 years because once in
mm,
four, for some reason, is I feel is perfect because Olympics is a once in a 4 year event.
mm,
Most major sporting events are all once in a 4 year event,
mm,
and FIFA being the biggest sporting spectacle is made a once in a 2 year event. I think it will lose its charm.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Even Arsene Wenger a few years back did mention that World Cup will become a once in a 2 year event. So, do
I
you?
don't. It kind of ruins it. Yeah, like you said, it ruins its value. It ruins its value. Like for example, it is. Yeah, Ronaldo might not get a World Cup, but that's how precious the World Cup is. It's
Yeah,
very very difficult to win it. That's how it's meant to be. But if you to have it every 2 years, then there's always going to be a very high chance for them to win it, and the value of it will decrease. It become easier to win it. Maybe that chance of winning it will be easier. Um, but I think it's one of those trophies that it should be highly valued. Like if you want to keep it highly valued, you have to keep it. Um, I don't know what the word is, but you want to keep it uh, less frequent. I would say you don't want to saturate the competition too much. You want to keep it a rare thing in football, so to achieve. So once every 2 years, I would not agree with it at all. Once every 4 years, I'm happy with. Even though like it's amazing, I think once every 4 years, brings a different energy to the fans as well. Like a special moment for the fans. It's every 4 years, and yeah, yeah. I mean, we have a lot of football going on. There's no point having it every 2 years.
yeah. And even for hosting country standpoint, I think 2 years is too small to like
Too small.
create that structure to host a World Cup. I think it is very hard at that point, and there will also be issues and clashes with the other boards like UEFA. There will if it's a 2 year event, UEFA's Euros and World Cups
Mm,
will have a clash. Copa America will have a clash. So these major events will have a struggle if World Cup is made a 2 year event. And even
mm,
from the country standpoint of view, for Qatar it took them a decade to build the structure. If it was just a 2 year point, they would struggle.
yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
there's even for
Uh,
I think 2 year World Cup makes no sense for anyone. Even for FIFA in the long run, it doesn't make much sense.
2 years and adding 16 more teams. It would make no sense, to be honest. Adding more teams and then making it every 2 years, that just makes the World Cup not as precious as before. That would just ruin it for sure. I think that would ruin it.
Yeah. And coming to this World Cup, 2022 World Cup, I think major teams did face a humbling. We saw
Mm,
Germany losing to Japan. Spain did lose to Japan. Saudi Arabia bringing that shocker when they
mm,
won Argentina. Ghana almost drew Portugal. Ghana
mm,
almost drew Portugal, and they drew Uruguay. So you see this shift where all these young budding countries like Japan, South Korea, Ghana,
mm,
uh, doing well against countries like perennial, top order class, higher order class countries in football like Germany, Spain. So, do you see a shift of power in football? Do you see a shift of power in football?
A shift in power, like in terms of how do you mean?
In terms like big countries like Germany or Spain are no more favorites coming into the World Cup.
Yeah, there's always a cycle in football. In with the national teams especially, there's always going to be a cycle. And unless you're France, like France don't have a cycle. They always generate brilliant players every single year. So France are probably exempt from that cycle. But like Brazil had a cycle where they had great players in the past, and then last few years maybe they weren't as amazing. But now they're maybe picking up with some young players now. Same with England as well. There's a cycle going on there. So I think it's the same case with Spain and Germany. They've got young players that just need to be that just need time to develop first, and then when they develop, they will actually end up performing for their national team. Same with Spain. Like the when did they win the World Cup? Like 2000
2010, 2010.
2010, that was one of the best Spain teams ever, and now they've got a lot of young players. In the space of these 10 years, they've actually or 12 years, they've actually not been as high as that compared to that 2010 team. But right now, maybe they're picking up with younger players. There's younger players in that Spanish team that could develop in the next World Cup and it'll become better. There's always cycles in international football and World Cup, so I don't think it'll be a shift in power. I think it'll just there's just a building process for some of these younger players. That's it.
Fair enough. Tomorrow is the finals between Argentina and France. Two
Hmm.
very different teams, different paths. Their tactics, be it their tactics or the style of play, and the spearhead. One is at the fag end of his career, the other is just entering his prime.
Hmm.
So, is this clash literally, a change, a battle of era? Because you have two stars from
Yeah.
two different eras. One is the end, the other is rising. So, do you think this battle tomorrow is not just as significant for this World Cup, but for the years to come?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Messi, one of the best, if not the best player we've ever seen in football history, has never won the World Cup. This is his pretty much almost final chance to win it. Maybe next
I
World
mean,
Cup he might have a
yeah,
chance.
he in fact did mention that this is going to be his last World Cup.
So if this is his last World Cup, it matters a lot for him. We've not seen him. Well, I mean, we've seen him getting it very, very close against Germany a few years ago. But this is probably yeah, like you said, it's his last chance to win it. If he doesn't win it, then he'll never ever win it. And then you have Mbappe. He's already won the World Cup. If he's to win another World Cup, which it shows that his career is going to go in one way. It's going to be almost GOAT status in many years to come for sure. Because who has two World Cups at the age of 20, 24
So,
or something like that,
yeah,
23, 24? It's crazy. So so yeah, it is a battle, or a clashing battle between the two eras with Messi's era, and now Mbappe's era.
I think football hasn't witnessed that where stars from two eras, the biggest players, clashed each other. Even if we go back
Hmm.
in time, like Pele won it in his time. Maradona won it in his time. Zidane won
Hmm.
in his time. Ronaldo, he was at the best. Like they didn't face the next generation number one players. Like this, I think it's very unique for
Yeah.
football too. That two players, the best of their time are facing each other in a World Cup
Hmm.
clash. I think this is in boxing terms. This is like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson facing together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I agree. Yeah, it's going to be a huge match for sure. Very, very big match. I think this match will be iconic. In many years, it'll be iconic. A lot of people remember this match. Whoever wins it, if Messi wins it, it'll be iconic for Messi and his fans, and for Argentina. If Mbappe wins it, it'll be iconic for him as well. So yeah, definitely going to be a huge, huge game. Like you said, very big
Yeah.
game.
both these teams are going for their third World Cup, and you know, since the last time a football World Cup was retained was way back in 1962. It's been 60 years. Can France retain it? Retain the World Cup?
They definitely. I don't think. Yeah, I think they have a chance for sure. This is a final. Anything can happen in a final. They definitely have a chance. Their squad is definitely one of the best. I don't think, if I'm mistaken, I don't think a nation has got back-to-back World Cups. I think if they were to win it,
Uh,
they've they would write history for the first nation to win a World Cup back-to-back. That would be crazy, to be honest. I mean, we've seen the curse of uh, nation winning the World Cup and then not making it through to the knockout stages. So like Germany, we've seen it. Germany, um, I think Brazil, maybe I'm not sure, but they do the next the next World Cup they end up not doing as well compared to the year they won the World Cup. But if France win it, it'd be I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Their squad is very good. Didier Deschamps winning another World Cup would be iconic for him. So it's definitely a chance for sure.
yeah, and having two World Cups at just the age of 23, and not just
Hmm.
winning two World Cups, but being the spearhead in both these trials,
Hmm.
is will it be fair enough to call Kylian Mbappe the greatest footballer, or is it still too early?
In terms of right now, the greatest
Yeah, right
footballer,
now. Yeah,
better than Messi, Ronaldo.
yeah. Um, I mean, I still don't think he is the greatest French player ever. I think people would say Zidane or Platini or
Hmm.
Henri.
Hmm.
I personally still don't feel Mbappe is the greatest French player ever, let alone the best player in the world.
Hmm.
So, but two World Cups at the age of 23, and he's got like 300 career goals already.
I think it also uh, two World Cups definitely. It's very rare. I wouldn't put him in the GOAT status anytime soon. Like, I think he needs to win Ballon d'Ors. That's something that
Yeah,
he needs to do. Ronaldo, Messi have been doing it for for so long, competing for each other for so long. He would have to do the same for sure. He would have to do the
yeah,
same. He's still young.
and the Champions League too.
Champions
Champions League
League.
with Paris. He hasn't
So
won it yet.
yeah, so it's a lot of things that he needs to achieve. Ronaldo, Messi have already achieved it, but Mbappe is still young. Like we'll see in the next what 10 years maybe. We'll see his achievements. I'm sure in the next 10 years he would definitely have won multiple trophies, maybe Champions League, Ballon d'Ors. I'm pretty sure he will win a Ballon d'Or after. Yeah, I think he will be the next one to win a Ballon d'Or. Definitely.
Yeah, and talking about the finals, I personally feel that Argentina are more determined to win the World Cup. Firstly,
Mm.
because the cause for Messi,
Mm-hmm.
and the players are in the World Cup saying that let's win it for Messi. Usually in Argentina, it's like let's hope Messi win it for us, but
Mm-hmm.
this time it's like let's win it for Messi. I think the
Mm-hmm.
players see him as the senior figurehead, and it's not just the Argentinians. In fact, people all around the world feel that a Messi deserves a World Cup. A World Cup,
Mm-hmm.
like it's they both deserve to be together at least once. So I personally feel that Argentina are more, they have a bigger cause to win than France. For France,
Yeah.
it's more of boosting their ego,
Yeah.
retaining a World Cup because all the players in the 11, they have a World Cup already.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% I agree. I think with this Argentina team, it's different to the Argentina team I've seen in the past. Usually in the past, I've seen they try to shoehorn the good Argentina players into the starting lineup. This time it's different. It's more about working as a team rather than just trying to shoehorn every good Argentina player in this team. Like you have players like Dybala, Martinez on the bench. They're on the bench. Like they're very good. They're good players, but they're on the bench. Alvarez is now playing ahead of Martinez. Like I think it's obvious that the Argentina manager knows what he wants from his team. He wants a team that plays for plays together rather than just relying on individual. Like in the past, they've relied on players like Di Maria, Messi to do the works for them, Aguero, but they never actually had the proper structure
Team.
behind them. Now they actually look like they have a good structure behind Messi, Alvarez. Like you're seeing Fernandez, you're seeing uh, I forget their
Cunha,
names. Cunha,
Cunha.
DePaul, like these are hardworking players that are willing to work for the team, and then that works well with Messi and Alvarez, these two strikers who are going to score the goals and create the goals for Argentina. So it's a different Argentina team compared to the past for sure. And then with France, like you said, it's more of the ego thing. If they win it, then they'll have that history for many years. I'm pretty sure that they've the first nation to win back to back. But yeah,
No, not the first nation. I mean, Italy did it way back in the 30s. You have Brazil,
okay,
when Pele. Yeah, so France would be the first in after 60 years.
after 6 years, okay.
Yeah, I think Brazil did come closer. Like they won in '94, lost the finals in '98, and they did win in 2002. So
Okay.
yeah, they were the closer to that title also. But winning a World Cup seems like it's the toughest thing in the world.
It's yeah, 100% is, especially when it happens every 4 years. It's not. It's never easy, and in those 4 years, the team changes. Team completely changes. But I think with this France team, not much has changed. They've still have got Mbappe, Griezmann, Giroud. Only Pogba and Kante I can think of are the two players that are not really in this. The two difference between this team and the last World Cup team. Other than that, it's very similar.
Yeah, and they were also pretty much replaced Chouameni and
Hmm.
Fafana,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a pretty good replacement. And Giroud, I mean, he was on the bench for most part of France's road to the World Cup qualification. Benzema was the star player, even coming into the World Cup. I mean, he is the Ballon d'Or winner and the best player for 2022, and him getting injured just at the beginning paved the way for Giroud, and Giroud did capitalize on that chance.
Hmm.
So for Giroud too, this is a very key event. I mean, he was part of the team that won the World Cup, but he didn't score any goals in the previous edition. Being a
Hmm.
striker and not scoring a single goal, I think that would have been a black mark. But I think with this World Cup, he scored tons of goals, especially the header against England
Mm.
that knocked them out.
I think he's got
So
like
it's been,
3 goals or something, something like that. But I think
yeah.
last World Cup he was mostly utilized as like the pivot for France's attack. It's the same case for this France team as well. Like he's mainly used as a pivot player for players like Mbappe, Griezmann to run in behind and score the goals. Dembele as well. So he's willing to sacrifice his sort of goals for the team. So I mean, it's a great team player for sure. Very good team player. I think Benzema's got that sort of unselfish play in him as well. He's done it with like Ronaldo in the past. He's willing to work for the team, but I think Giroud has got that element of physicality. He's very strong in the air. That's why you need. I mean, we've seen it with the Netherlands, like against Argentina. They brought in two giants and they played them up front, and they somehow made a comeback. You sometimes need to have those players and use them as at an advantage because they can definitely win you games, and you want to win games. So I think that's what they're trying to do with Giroud, and it's working.
So yeah, before we end this live stream, I have a bunch of few quick questions regarding the World Cup. Who do you think has been the standout player in the World Cup?
Uh, Standout player. Oh, it's a tough question because there's been a few. Um, I'm gonna probably say in terms of like unexpected or like
Yeah, pretty much came out of out of nowhere, came out of nowhere,
Um,
just took the scene.
I would go for the Morocco midfield everyone's been talking about. Amrabat, Sofian, I think that's his name, Sofian Amrabat.
Yeah,
He surprised a lot of people. That's one name I could think of.
yeah. I
Yeah,
do have that. I do have a player from Morocco, Unani Azzedine.
yeah,
He's number
Unahi.
eight. Number eight. He was
Yeah,
pretty great. He was, in my opinion, a standout player.
yeah,
My
yeah,
standout
for
player.
sure. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of standout players. Like even Morocco's goalkeeper, I didn't expect him to be this good, but very good goalkeeper, and the Croatian goalkeeper as well. Croatian
Yeah.
goalkeeper
A player you felt that terribly underperformed.
terribly underperformed. I'm gonna go for Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne has
Kevin De Bruyne.
really underperformed, and especially when he came up with that quote, it made it even worse. Made it 10 times worse. This is a player that's been named as the best midfielder in the world. I mean, didn't show it. Really didn't show it.
A young prodigy that stepped up. Your best young prodigy. Player under the age of 23.
Um, I think I think I have a name on my head. His name is Kudus. Kudus is one player
Yeah,
that
yeah.
actually definitely surprised. To be honest, I did watch him against Liverpool. He looked good. This World Cup, he looked very good. So even though he didn't qualify from the group, or did they qualify? I can't remember, but he looked good. He looked very good. I think a top club will go for him.
I will go for this player for Portuguese who replaced Cristiano Ramos, I believe.
Oh, Ramos, yeah, Ramos is one.
Scored
Yeah.
a hat trick in the round of 16 against Swiss. I think
Mhm.
he is my prodigy.
Mhm.
Who do you think will win the Golden Boot? I think Messi and Mbappe both are in five.
I think you're. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Mbappe and Messi. I think there's another player that's one goal behind. I'm not sure. Maybe it is Giroud. Not sure. I think it all depends in this World Cup final. I think um, who's ahead? I think Messi is ahead on assists because of assists. I think he's ahead of Mbappe for the Golden Boot.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if it's minutes played or assists that is
Because I
brought
seen a
in.
table.
Euros.
I seen a table. Messi was above Mbappe because of assists, but I'm not sure. But I think Messi will win it. I think Messi will win it. The Golden Boot.
So with him winning the Golden Boot, do you think he could also win the Golden Ball?
Yeah, yeah. I think he'll win the Golden Ball as well. Yes, I think he's high. He's top in both metrics. So
So yeah, with this, I mean, who's gonna win the World Cup? Argentina or France? Two.
I'm going to go for Argentina. I think Argentina will win it. I have a feeling Argentina are going to win it this time. But I think it'll be a close match. I think Argentina will somehow scrape a win against France.
Do you see this match going till the penalties or extra time, or will it get over in the regular
I think it'll
times?
be done in normal time. I think there will be a penalty in this game, but I think it'll be done in normal time, in my opinion. 2-1
Penalty as
Argentina.
in penalty as in a penalty between the game or a shootout
But in the game,
in the
like I
game.
think someone will get a penalty within the game, 90 minutes. Don't I think it'll be Argentina will get a penalty somehow. I'm not sure how else. I think that's my prediction.
Well, I see this game going 1-all till extra time and into penalties. Into penalties, I'm not too sure who's gonna win, but Martinez has been pretty fantastic in shootouts, especially in the
Hmm.
match against Netherlands. He was
Hmm.
very fantastic, and he has a pretty good record of saving penalties. So I think Argentina will have that upper hand going into the shootout. So
Yeah,
yeah, Argentina
100%.
is now pretty. It will win the World Cup for the third time in their history.
I want Argentina to win. To be honest, I want Messi to win that World Cup definitely. Like, Ronaldo didn't win it, so I think the other goat has to win it. Has to win it.
So, since we did talk about gold, this is the final question. Winning the World Cup put Messi just a bit above Cristiano, or are they still the same?
No, I think for me, Messi is the goat. Anyway, if he wins the World Cup, that increases the gap even more. I think Messi's the goat. Ronaldo is one of the goat. There's no disrespect for Ronaldo or what he's done. He's definitely one of the goats. But I think the goat of football for me it's Messi. If he wins it, that puts him even higher.
Right. Would you say he's the greatest player ever? Messi's the greatest player ever. Like even better than Maradona.
I've only watched Messi. I haven't watched Maradona. I've not watched
Right.
Pele. So it's very hard for me to give a comparison. But for me, he's definitely uh, the best player in my generation for sure. My generation, he's been the best player, and he's been doing it for a long, long time.
Yeah. Would you say Belgium pretty much disappointed in the World Cup? I mean, you did mention about De Bruyne's comment. Would you
Mm.
say Belgium, with their golden generation, disappointed everyone's expectation of the World Cup? Would you say they disappointed?
Yeah, definitely. I think also it's also down to the fact that Belgium didn't really get in a proper coach after the last World Cup. 2018 was their chance to win it. This World Cup, their golden generation just kind of died down. But they still got good players. Lukaku, I'm not sure about Lukaku, but Hazard, he really costed Belgium definitely in that last game. But Hazard, De Bruyne, the other Hazard, they still got a good team. It's just the structure is not right. There's no balance in that team. Definitely a big disappointment. But Germany, for me, were the bigger disappointment. For me, Germany have got a better team in terms of they've got a good balance between I'd say in defense, midfield, and attack. Maybe yes, they don't have a striker, but still got good balance in defense, midfield, and attack. They really didn't do well in this World Cup, and they didn't do well in last World Cup. So they've been, and I would have thought Hansi Flick would have done better compared to the last World Cup, but pretty much done the same.
Yeah. So we were talking about disappointments. We're getting to England.
Mm,
England were, the fans were for a very long time. I don't know how long. Have been screaming that it's coming home, it's coming home. But I don't know what is actually coming home. Um,
nothing.
not really, I don't really know. I don't really know.
The
Yeah.
football Harry Kane kicked over the bar is coming home. That football that Harry Kane kicked it from the penalty, that would be coming home.
I mean, I lost it when the England cricket team won the World Cup. I mean, that was too much to take. God knows what would happen when the football team wins a World Cup.
And I didn't want England to win either. To be honest, I'm not English. I'm not from England. If Scotland was in the same situation, these English fans would have wanted Scotland to lose as well. So I would do the same for England. So I'm happy that Harry Kane missed that penalty.
Yeah. Harry Kane, he hasn't won a trophy yet. For a player so great, the goals he
Mm,
scored, the kind of support that he gets from the critics and the media and the fans, for all that he doesn't have a trophy to show. Do you think,
mm.
what would you do if you were Harry Kane at this point? Would you move elsewhere? Do you assess your options? I'm not saying you should leave Tottenham, but he needs trophies to, show that his career he's done something in his career.
For me, if I was Harry Kane, I would leave Tottenham because I don't see that team. I would leave Tottenham and go abroad, go to a different
Yeah.
country and win a trophy. Because in England, he had the chance to go Man City. He hasn't. He fluffed it, and I mean, Man City are known for winning trophies. I mean, if you can't get a move to Man City, I don't think you should move to any other English club because it's very hard to also win the Premier League with someone like some team like Chelsea or Liverpool. Or I think you should go abroad to maybe a Bayern Munich or a Spanish club that can guarantee you at least a trophy in your career. He's still got a few more years till he retires. I mean, we've seen with Benzema still going on at the age of 34. Harry Kane could probably do the same, but I would leave Tottenham. If you want to win the trophy, I'd leave Tottenham. Even if you have Conte, still doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I think it's ridiculous. A player like Harry Kane scoring so many goals. I think England's top goal scorer hasn't even won a single trophy in his career, which is a bit crazy. Even Alan Shearer has won a trophy. He's won a Premier League. Um, the fact that Harry Kane hasn't won a single trophy, it's let alone the Premier League hasn't won a single trophy. It's a bit crazy. So I think he should go abroad, but he really put himself in this situation for signing a long-term contract. He should have thought about it before. You never take that risk. Like if you take that risk, then you're gonna pay the consequences. So how it is.
So, what country do you think impressed in this World Cup? You've had Japan,
Mm-hmm.
Morocco, Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia did pull that.
I
Which
think it's
country?
only Morocco. It has to be Morocco.
Morocco. Yeah,
I
okay.
I knew they had a good team, but I didn't expect them to reach semi-finals. I didn't expect that at all. Saudi Arabia is another good shot. I liked how they played. Yes, they didn't get the results, but I liked how they played. Like they actually played some entertaining football compared to other nations. That England, for example, don't play good football at all. Saudi Arabia actually took risks. They actually wanted to play a high line. They wanted to press, be aggressive. I actually enjoyed it, so I was a bit surprised about that, to be honest. But Morocco, definitely the most surprising team, reaching a semi-final. No one expected that.
Do you think the weather, the climate played a part in this World Cup? Like, countries from colder regions were not playing at their usual standards.
Um, it probably played a part. I don't think it's a massive part, in my opinion. I think they've installed AC in the stadium. I think I've seen pictures of Qatar installing AC within the pitch. So some of these players are used to this weather, but I don't think it's been a massive factor. I think they get used to it after a few games. So yeah.
So the World Cup's getting over, and then we'll get into club football. So Arsenal's are in the top of the table. The last time we did, you were not quite positive about Mikel Arteta. Is it still the same, or have you changed your position with regards to Mikel Arteta?
Will he win the Premier League? You saying?
I mean, the last time we did the live stream, it was before the Premier League season started.
Okay. Yeah.
So you were not very positive about Mikel Arteta then.
Hmm.
Is it still the same? Is it? Do you still stand with it, or do you want to change your opinion now?
Um, I think he's done well up to this point. Do I think he's has he surprised me? Yeah, 100% surprised me. But I think I can only change my opinion till the end of the season. I think we've not really faced the difficult part of the Premier League season, which is usually the December January period, and especially now that the fact that the World Cup taking place in December, it's going to be more congested compared to last season. So if he somehow does well in this congested month, then he will get. I'll probably will change my opinion, but for now, I do think if he doesn't invest in January, doesn't bring in the right profiles that he needs for his team to continue this run, then I think he will struggle. Um, because this time last year, Chelsea were also top of the league. The season before, Chelsea were top of the league with Lampard, and he eventually got sacked after the December fixtures. The December fixtures play a huge part. So we have to wait and see with Arteta, can he actually handle this level of congestion? So that's when I'll change my opinion. Not now. I still think he's a good coach, but I still think people are going a bit crazy about him winning the Premier League and this and that. Man City for me are clear favourites to win Premier League.
Yeah, and especially Erling Haaland is very much in a firm position to win the Golden Boot.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that coming? Did you see him storming the Premier League with that many goals? I expected he would score goals,
Mm-hmm.
but not in this kind of numbers.
No, I didn't expect him to score 18. Is it 18 Premier League goals already? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. He's definitely breaking the record. If he doesn't break the record, then I'd be surprised because I don't think I can't remember the last player that managed to do that, score that many goals before I think before halfway into the season. It's crazy how many goals he scored. So I think he's definitely going to break the record for me. If he stays fit, he will break the record. But I didn't expect him to come in and score this many goals. I thought, yeah, look, his sort of football doesn't really suit the idea of Pep's style because Pep is more of a possession, more of a control the ball well sort of manager. If you don't have that sort of attribute in your game, then I don't think you suit well in this system. But I think Pep is shown that he's willing to adapt. He can adapt to a different style that suits someone like Holland, and it's worked out perfectly for Holland and for Man City.
Well, the European record for most goals scored in a single season by a player is held by Lionel Messi, who scored 50, and Ronaldo was second with 48.
It's
Haaland
crazy.
with 18, with 18 goals. Do you see him breaking that record, getting past 50 goals in a single league campaign?
In all competitions,
Just the league.
well, 50 goals in the league.
Yeah, Messi scored 50 La Liga goals in 2011-12 season. Ronaldo got 48 in 14-15, just in the La Liga, just in La Liga.
Or is it
So
one
that's
calendar year? One calendar year, or
no,
is it
one season. That's one
one
season.
season?
That's one season. Yeah, one season
Really?
record. Yeah, that's the most by a player in Europe's top five league.
Oh my days! I didn't know that. I don't know why I didn't know. I know that Messi scored like 90 goals in one calendar year, but I didn't know it was 40, 50 in the season. That's no, no chance, no chance. I don't think Holland's. There's no way Holland's breaking that. That's crazy level. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
Even though he's a
yeah,
brilliant goal scorer, I don't see that happening.
yeah. And the difference is, as of now, is 32, and
Mm,
32 is the most goals in a single EPL campaign. Salah scored 32 in 17-18 season, I believe.
yeah,
I
yeah,
believe it
yeah,
was. So, do you think Ireland would break this record? If not the 50 record, can he break the 32 record?
yeah, yeah. I think he'll beat the 32 one. Even though Salah, some like I remember that season. I didn't expect Salah to break that record. But I think it all depends on if Holland stays fit. If he stays fit throughout the whole season, then yeah, I think he'll break it. I think he'll break their record. Um,
I mean,
Mainly because Man
with him
City,
not, yeah.
I think Man City will win the Premier League, so I think he will play a huge part in it. So yeah, I think he's breaking the record.
I mean, with him taking a break with no World Cup, he will come into the
Yeah,
campaign quite fresh, very well motivated. I think he can break the 32 record, but I do wish he breaks the 50 goal record. Lionel Messi's 50 goal record. I think that would be quite crazy.
that would be crazy. That would, especially in the Premier League. I mean, they did it in La Liga, which is a lot different. But in the
Yeah,
Premier League, 50, that would be absolutely crazy.
absolutely crazy. So yes, we predicted Argentina to win the World Cup, Messi to win the Golden Boot and the Golden Ball.
Yeah, definitely. This is
So
Messi's World Cup. Yeah.
it's Messi's World Cup. So that is how we're gonna be signing off this video. That this is Messi's World Cup. He's gonna win the Golden Boot, the Golden Ball, and the precious World Cup too.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
what is the one last thing you want to say before we sign off?
Um, excited for the game, for today's game as well. The third place game. At least it's the last two World Cup games. I mean, I'm gonna try and enjoy as much as I can with these last two World Cup games because afterwards it's back to Chelsea and back to me being depressed with Chelsea because I don't think we're gonna do well anyway after the World Cup. But I've enjoyed this World Cup. So yeah. Thank you for having me on. No, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, yeah, and thanks for coming too. I hope we get to do a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for the World Cup too. I wanted to do a live stream, but I don't know how things are gonna go tomorrow. So that's why I did this one with you today. So,
No worries.
yeah. So I think we'll be meeting after the World Cup in
Mm-hmm.
for the Premier League campaign and see how things goes then. So yeah, good seeing you.
You
Take care,
too, man.
everyone.